So you only want a very small amount of Vaseline. You shouldn't be able to see like any visible clumps on the skin, and it should be ultra thin. You know, you almost want to, you almost don't even want to be able to see. You want to, have such a thin layer. But that's all you need. You don't need a lot of Vaseline. That's a big thing that I see, a lot of beginners mess up is they put too much on. Use Vaseline sparingly, and if you want to experiment with stuff, I think Green Ink Ease, it's called, Green Glide, does the same thing as Vaseline, but apparently it doesn't clog your needles. But I haven't used it, so I can't vouch for it. And the next thing is setting your depth, right? So earlier I spoke about using a long stroke and floating the needle. While that's great, it gives you a lot of visibility, it also means that, you have to control the depth and make sure that you don't go too deep. Now, the problem with a lot of rotary machines is that they're what's called a direct drive, which means it's a mechanical mechanism that just goes up and down and there's no give. And so if you push too hard into the skin, the machine's not going to back off, it's just going to keep crunching into the skin and hacking it up, right? So you need to use your fingers to set the depth. So what I'll do is you never want to, tattoo like this, right? You always want to make sure that your fingers are setting the depth. And when I tattoo, my hand doesn't move. My fingers set the depth, and then I move at my shoulder, and I'm literally just sliding my hand across the skin. And by using those two fingers, it's like the guard on a pair of clippers. It just prevents my hand from going too deep, and I just slide along like that. So yeah, using the two fingers to as like a guard to set your depth, and then that's kind of how I hold my machine. I have my middle finger under the cartridge and then two fingers underneath of that. This gives me stability by holding onto the cartridge, and then these two fingers allow me to set my depth and prevent me from kind of going too deep, right? When I spoke about moving my shoulder instead of my entire arm, you want to keep your hands still, because if you're trying, you can kind of get away with it when you're doing really small details, like maybe if this was like a realism piece and I was trying to get, like really delicate looking feathers on the end of the arrow, I would kind of just move sort of my hands and sort of do it like that. But when you're doing like clean, crisp, solid line work, my hand is perfectly still, and I pretty much move at my shoulder and always hinge at my elbow, and my whole arm moves. I don't just kind of move my hand and try and do the line. My whole arm will move, and my hand stays perfectly still, and I'm just, moving around kind of like that. That's really important. That'll give you a lot of stability as well. And also, when you are tattooing a line, you want to move the machine in the direction of which, you want to angle the machine in the direction at which you're moving. So for example, if I'm doing this line on this blood drop just down here, I want to make sure that as I'm coming along the line, the needle is angled in the direction that I'm moving. What I don't want to do is tattoo like this and then come all the way down, because what's going to happen is I'm going to get a bunch of blowouts on one side, where I'll get a really nice sharp edge on one side, but then it'll the ink will kind of go on the skin, it'll hit the fat layer, and then it will blow out all on one side, and it'll look bad, right? So always have your machine angled in the direction that you're moving. Probably one of the last things is when you tattoo, like when you're tattooing fake skin, you get the luxury of being able to move it around and kind of twist it and stuff, but when you're tattooing a person, your ability to move is a lot less. You can kind of move all around the massage table. It's going to add a lot of time onto the tattoo, which means, if you're charging by hour, the customer's going to have to pay more money, which means they're not going to be happy. So you want to be as efficient as you can be, right, when you're tattooing people. So you're going to have to, when you're starting out, you'll figure out one angle that you're comfortable with, and then you'll be able to do all your lines in that angle. And what you'll find is you end up tattooing the practice skin so that you're always tattooing at that angle, so you can always hit those lines, right? What you want to be able to do is, once you find one angle that you're comfortable with, for me, that was, just pushing up. So whenever I have a line that's going like from here up to here, I will push. But if a line's going from this way up to that way, I'll hook in and pull. So the difference is, when I'm pushing, I'll hold my machine like this, and the machine will rest between my thumb and my pointer finger, right? But when I'm coming towards myself, I flip the machine around. So instead of resting between my thumb and my finger here, it's resting on the knuckle of my pointing finger, and then I bring it towards myself, and then I'm able to hit lines like this. Whereas if I was trying to push, I'd have to sort of move around the side and kind of go like that. It's really uncomfortable. And if you're not comfortable when you're tattooing a line, it's not going to come out good. You always want to make sure that you feel super, relaxed and nothing's awkward. And then that's going to help you out a lot, and you're going to get way better line work if you do that. That's pretty much it for getting clean, solid line work. If you apply all of those things, you're going to get a lot better results a lot faster. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you all that stuff in probably one of the last things is when you tattoo, like when you're tattooing fake skin, you get the luxury of being able to move it around and kind of